Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast is the Darkest Timeline. This week, we're talking blood pressure. Yep. Valentine's Day, food, and chaos. Yes, that's right. We've got TV, games, no movies this week. There's a reason. I'll explain in a bit, but yeah. Before we start, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and share the podcast around. That's the big one. That's the one we like the most. Share it around. Right, let's get started. Here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline. Hello! How you doing? I must have been sat here 10 minutes putting off pressing the button. Don't know what to tell you. Things have gone horribly wrong. It's half an hour later than it should be. I don't even have the list up at this point in time. Struggling to breathe, and I've eaten my body weight in food. So, if it sounds like I'm wading through treacle, believe me, it feels worse. And I'm drinking a coffee, 9:30 at night. But it's okay, because I've had a nap. How are you? Oh dear. What's that saying about the road to hell? Right, let's have a look at the list then, shall we? Oh, jeez, with that laundry list of complaints to start with, the first list item isn't going to go down too well. Last Wednesday, I was booked in for a blood pressure check. I don't know which it is. Somebody who's in a similar position to me might be able to tell me. Is it that I've passed a certain age and now's the time to get your blood pressure checked every 5 minutes? Or have I flagged up on some, you've got high blood pressure, you need to get it checked, watch list? I think it's potentially a combination of the two. However, I was kind of looking forward to it's wrong. That's not what I meant to say. I wasn't looking forward to it. I was intrigued to see the results. Obviously, for one way or another, for one thing or another, better or worse, whatever you want to say, I've been working reasonably hard recently to try and bring the weight down. I think the fact that the majority of the blood pressure checks I've had over the last 18 months, 2 years, whatever it is, I've had to take my son with me. And it's difficult to sit there looking at a child of yours whilst a medical professional's like, you might want to consider losing some weight, you might want to consider cutting down on salt, you might want to consider getting out of the danger zone where blood pressure is concerned. I think I've covered, I did have a high result, and the rest have been in that sort of medium area. And I preempted it. I said, if I go and they're like, oh, you're still in this area, this middle area, or this top area, then I was going to be like, what is it you want me to do? I don't have salt. I don't add salt to stuff. I don't have salt in meals. And that sort of stuff. And I'm trying to lose weight. So I went, took my son again. He seems to be like, he knows the drill. He knows the drill these days. Shuts the door and stuff. sat down, they put the cuff on. I'm like, which arm do you want to start with? I was like, you might as well start with this one that's the closer one. She puts the cuff on, she's putting all the details into the computer, she presses the button. And at some point in time, somebody told me how to understand the big number over the little number, and I'm sure if you Google it, but it's one of those things that I think very much like the controls on a washing machine. I think if it's something you don't understand, like truly to your core, you don't understand, no matter how many times it's described, explained, whatever to you, you will never get it. It's just a piece of information that won't go in. But I know how to read a number chart on a wall. And obviously, if it's in a particular range, that's bad. If it's in another range, that's medium. And if it's in a different range, that is good. And one of the first times I went, they were like, how did you get here? Did you walk? You know, what have you done before you walked in the door? Maybe you should sit for a few minutes to make sure you're at a... And they don't do that anymore. They're like, right, let's get on with it. So they did the first reading, and it was in the medium. And I was already a bit like, not sure how I feel about that. The number was... It was in the medium. It was well and truly in that medium range, but it was lower end of the scale, I would say. So I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. Low end, great, but still medium, not great. So I was a bit like, meh. So she's like, oh, okay, that's that. Let's swap to the other arm. We'll do the other arm. I was like, right, okay. Swap to the other arm, did the other arm. Press the button, the machine goes and does its thing. And when it finished, I saw what number it was displaying, and I was like, huh. I turned back to the wall, I was like, huh. And it was quite a bit lower than the first reading, and she was like, oh, that's good. I'm like, that's good? She's like, yeah, that's in the, low. That's in the green region. She's like, that's really good. That's great. Fantastic. We'll send the results to your doctors. And this was the bit, this was the point where I was like, you only need to get your blood pressure checked every 6 months. I was like, cool. So through a variety of different things that I've been doing up to this point in time, I've managed to bring my blood pressure down from high through the medium and now into the low range, which I walked out and I was proper buzzing. I was like, yeah, that's cool. And I was proud, I suppose, like my son was with me, because like I say, he'd been there through each of those. He would have a freaking clue what's going on. But I feel like it's quite significant that was an experience. And yeah, I was like, that's cool. I went about my day and I had a good day from that point on. Good time. And there's a lot I could say about it. And I think a lot of what I would say would probably be frowned upon. And I think a lot of what I might say, I don't know, but I think that's good. I think what I'm expecting is somebody to pull the rug out, and them like, oh, when you were doing all of that stuff to lose all that weight, and you were doing this and you were doing that and doing the other, you were causing irreparable damage to your body, and you are now, congratulations, you weigh X number of stone less than you did, and you are on the fast track to death. So whereas you were mooching along at a not great rate, you are now rocketing along. That's what I keep expecting. I kind of expected to to maybe get a bad blood pressure reading and then be like, oh, and I'd be like, well, what do you want from me? I don't have salt in my diet, and I've lost all this weight, and I'm trying to do the best I can, and nothing changed. And then they'll be like, well, what are you doing to lose the weight? And I'll be like, oh, I'm doing this. And they'll be like, well, that's absolutely terrible, and that's the worst possible thing you can do. But that didn't happen, so, Oh dear. Apparently that nap didn't solve the problem. Last Friday, it was Valentine's Day. What do we feel about Valentine's Day? I get that it's like, traditionally it's seen as like a female holiday. It's for the ladies. But that's not what I'm talking about. When I was young, in our house, we used to do, like, as a household, we used to do Valentine's. And, like, my mum would get us, like, a little something. Like, I remember one year getting this, like, it was like a chocolate heart. And I never know how I feel about it, because I'd said, like, at one part I was like, oh, I got my son a little, because when I went out to buy something, it was the same day I'd had the blood pressure, so I bought my son a little key ring, little Spider-Man plush, but it's also a key ring. And then while I was out looking for stuff, I was like, oh, they've got these things. They're in like the toy section, but they were more of like an activity thing, and they were reduced. And then 2 different ones, and one was something that one of my daughters is really into at the moment. And the other thing was something that my other daughter is into. I was like, that is perfect. I'll get those. And Leanne had already got one of my other daughters something. And then I was like, like, we've got half term this week, so it was like, were they half term gifts? And I was like, well, they can have them as Valentine's gifts, Valentine, you should give a token of love, so there we go. And one of my daughters had done a play. One of my daughters had got an award at school. So it seemed like a good time for a gift. I love a gift. I love to give a gift and stuff. So I was like, So Valentine's Day comes round. Now, I don't know. I'm putting it off because I don't know how to say. I said this to a friend of mine the other day, and he was probably just like, I don't think that's the point. He didn't say anything, but I could see it on his face. He was like, "The fuck are you on about?" I was like, "Oh, I think I might have gone a step too far." At certain points in time, at certain gift-giving holidays, I won't mention which or when or what. But I think we can all agree the object is to win, yes? As long as you buy more than the other person, you've won. As long as you spend more money, as long as your gifts are more extravagant, you win. Right? That's how it works, yeah? So, putting that to one side, because it completely doesn't relate to this. I had been buying Valentine's gifts for weeks. I bought a card like 3 weeks in advance because I saw it and it was like the perfect card. And then I had to buy a second card because I knew that my first card couldn't be displayed. So things like that, like cards and chocolates and sweets and clothes and activities and all of these things. And I just bought them over a series of weeks, put them away, And I was like, oh, I'm doing really well. I'm getting all these gifts, and they're all really good gifts, and they're all perfect for, So I'm like, I'm going to win Valentine's Day. Comfortably going to win. It wasn't difficult. I just bought a variety of things at a variety of different times. They were all great. They were all perfect. They were all going to be winners. And because of that, I could sit back, relax, because I knew I was going to win Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day comes along. And you've always got that, when do you say Happy Valentine's Day? Do you say it first thing in the morning when you wake up, all this? Which the answer is yes, you absolutely should do that. But, in this world, in this busy, hectic world we live in, with, kids getting up and kids needing to be at school and all this, that and the other, sometimes these things slip by. Anyway, mid-morning, I'm like, when do you want your card and your gifts and stuff? I don't know, when do you want to do it? I was like, just whenever. There's me like, whenever. I'm just so confident I'm going to win. I'm like, just whenever. Oh, well, yeah. So, she had meetings, I had meetings, and that was kind of that. So it got well into the day, and then it was like a point where I was like, it was like I was taking my lunch, so it was like, oh, do you want to do it now? Oh, let's do it now. Yeah, sure. Okay. She was like, oh, I haven't wrapped anything. I was like, no, me neither. I'm like, I don't need to wrap anything. There's that much stuff. I'd need a full roll of wrapping paper. So, I haven't wrapped anything. I was like, okay. She was like, so I'm just going I'll get them. And then you have to close your eyes. And then I'll hand them to you. I was like, all right, okay. I knew I was in trouble when I saw the bag. The bag was a shopping bag. One of the reusable shopping bags. What you would class as the biggest size shopping bag. And I went, shit. I was confident though. I was confident I could relax. I didn't need to panic because I bought a lot of things. I bought good things. They weren't cheap. So we're all good. Also, secret weapon, my card was awesome. So we'd sort of settled on doing like a 1-for-1 thing. So I was like, oh, here's your card. And I was like, she opened the card. I was howling with laughter. She's like, why do you always buy me these cards that I can't display? I was like, it's funny you should say that. Here's your emergency backup card that you can display because this one's nice. It's got like a bear on or something. I'd love to tell you what it looks like, but seeing as I can't see it because it never got put up, no idea. Can't remember. So, cards were exchanged. She got me this little card, I opened it, and I was like, bless. And then I opened it, I read it, it had this really long message in, and I was like, yeah, I never, what do you write in your 25th Valentine's card? I saw a stand-up comedian do a thing about cards, and they were like, after a few years you should be able to write please see last year, and I was like, yeah, you might have a point. So I'm like, oh, I got you this. And she's like, oh, close your eyes, hold out your hands. So we went backwards and forwards. Now, luckily, there was only two items. She'd only got two items more than me. Oh, fuck's sake. The items she got me were awesome. I was like, she's really tuned in to where I'm at the moment. She's really sort of she's read my current obsessions and gone with, well, if this is what you're into, this is what you like, then I'll get you something in that vein. Perfect gifts, all awesome. I gave her hers, all of that. So I'm like, this was a good day. This was a good, as far as my children were concerned, my son had already had his gift and he wasn't there in the evening. My middle daughter's come home from school. I'm like, oh, I got you a gift because, it's Valentine's Day. I gave them their gifts. They loved them, genuinely loved them. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I gave my eldest her gift. She was super enthused and simultaneously indifferent, which that seems to be a thing. So, just roll with it. I finished Valentine's Day strong. I was like, today was a good day. And I've been fucking miserable since. Which I find is just super ironic. I'm thinking a lot about relationships recently. The ups and downs of relationship, the ebb and flow, just how 1 minute you can be like, oh, today was a good day. I enjoyed this relationship. I enjoyed, the elements and the aspects and the intricate parts of this relationship. And then 24 hours later, you're like, you're planning where you're going to go and live and which animal you're going to take with you. You're like, I'll take the dog. That makes sense. And I don't need much stuff. I'll just pack a bag. Which car to take? Who do I think will be able to put me up for a few days? Just while I get myself on my, within 24 hours, and then just every available opportunity from that part on. You're like, yeah. And here was this was the peak of this. It was today when I was like, I got a podcast to do this evening. I'm going to talk about Valentine's Day. I'll have to talk about how fucking miserable I am at the moment. Yeah, that'd be good. And I realised that it was technically 3 days ago. And I was like, fuck me, was that not a week ago at this point? It's Monday today. It was Friday. It feels like a fucking month ago. Honestly, like I say, I've spent a lot of time thinking about relationships. You ever have one of those relationships where you and the other person are never on the same page? Ever. Or you have one of those relationships where it's fine, it's plain sailing, and then every now and then it's like World War III. I had a conversation with my youngest daughter. Yeah, what is apparently yesterday morning, which again feels like a week ago, where I highlighted that 6 days a week absolutely cannot get out of bed. She's nearly as bad as me. 6 days a week. Saturday mornings are hands down the worst morning of the week, which is ironic because nobody's getting up to go to school. But as I was saying to somebody the other day, I always feel really sorry for her because she has to get up earlier on a Saturday morning than if she was going to school. So, I always feel sorry for her, but it doesn't change anything. Our house on a Saturday morning is like World War III. There's shouting and screaming and banging and you didn't do this and you didn't do that and why have you done this and it's all that. Whilst I am simultaneously trying to get sorted, get dressed, actually get into the bathroom, get the dog sorted, get the dog out the door, get the dog his breakfast, get him physically out the door, all by a particular point in time, whilst all the rest of the house are trying to murder each other. Yet, at 6:50 yesterday morning, my youngest daughter appears, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, wanting to know what she can put on to watch. And I was like, no, I'm done with this. I've had enough of this. I am tired of this. 6 days a week, can't get out of bed. Sunday morning, 6:50, 6:50, if you will. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, putting something on the tablet. And I was like, nah, I'm done with this now. Either you get out of bed the other 6 days, or you don't get out of bed on a Sunday morning. So, the short version is, relationships are weird and funny and hilarious, apparently. And, yeah, 1 minute, great and groovy. Next minute, I cannot believe it was a week. I can't. No, it wasn't a week. I can't believe Valentine's was 4 days ago. Genuinely, I was sat on the sofa this evening, like, yeah, me and the dog. Yeah, me and the dog. Like, we'll just go. I know a couple of people, make a couple of phone calls. Like, you've got a sofa. What sort of size is it? Will it fit me and the dog? I have that sometimes I'm like, you know, what if I was like, oh, can you put me up for just a couple of days? I think I need a new food guinea pig. I've written food dummy here. And as I went to read it, I was like, that's not how we say that, is it? I need a new food guinea pig. I feel I may have broken my existing one. I think there was a point where I had to sort of roll Leanne out of the room, and she was like, "I can't do this anymore." And I was like, "You're a lightweight. You barely had to eat an entire Philly cheesesteak. What are we doing here?" I feel like I need, like, you know, a restaurant of people that I can be like, hey, I'm going to cook for you. But you don't get to pick. And I'll just make it and give it to you. I've been doing a lot of cooking. Remember, there was a point in time I was doing a lot of baking, and now I'm doing a lot of cooking. Brings me a lot of joy. I don't think I'm very good at it. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to try new things and learn new recipes and do all of these things. But what I've found is that a lot of recipes generally work on the principle that there's more than one person eating, which is fine. It makes a lot of sense. It's great and stuff. I don't often factor that in when I'm making stuff. So I'll be like, oh, this recipe says to do this, 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 and this. I watched a video. I like to get me a little YouTube video on the go. And the video said to do this, this, and this. I've combined the recipe in the video, and away we go. Like I say, though, never take into account that, well, that's probably for a minimum of 2 people. So, yes, I've been making all these different foods, different food groups, different things, trying different things. And, yes, I think she's maybe tapped out at this point. It was the point in time where she was like, I just need one food item today, and it's already made, so it'll be fine. And then there was one point where she's like, I think I've got a pizza in the freezer. Like, oh, you don't want me to make you anything? No, I'm good. I'm fine, thanks. Well, I do some chips with that. No, I'm fine. It's okay. I tried subjecting my children to it. That had a very mixed. My children are all different. All of their palates are different. I have a child that doesn't like cheese. Yep. Take from that what you will. The thought of having to try and break down each of my children's... I had a conversation in the car on the way home this evening. It went like this. I'm going to make you some tea when I get in. I'm going to make you this and this and this and this and this and this, and then there'll be some ham. I don't like ham. Like, you literally had ham last night. In fact, I'm pretty sure you ate 2 pieces of ham last night. Whilst I was talking to you, you were eating and talking with your mouth full of ham. Yeah, it's just too long. What? What are you on about? Town, it's just too long. I don't like town. I don't like going into town. Town? I thought you said ham. Why would you think I was talking about ham? Because we were having a conversation about ham. Huh? So, yeah, that's an average conversation. So, I did what, in hindsight... No, that's not fair, because some of it went down well. I did what could be considered risky. My children fall into a lot of staples. I know I can make certain meals that they will eat, and because of that, those are the only meals I make. And I think it's basically got to the point now that it's about 5. And trust me when I say this, it can't deviate. So I'll give you an example. My children will eat a certain type of pizza and they will eat a certain type of garlic bread. Now, if I was like, well, I know how to make both of those things, so I'm going to spend all day putting together a dough, getting it ready, and then I'm going to divide it up and I'm going to make a delicious homemade pizza. And I'm going to make a delicious homemade garlic bread. That would be wrong and nobody would eat it. But if I said, oh, it's pizza and garlic bread for tea, I've got you the cheapest pre-packaged, pre-made freezer pizza I could find with an accompanying cheap-ass freezer pre-packaged garlic bread, well, it's rejoice in my house. Yeah. So like I say, it's basically boiled down to about 5 meals at this point in time, and I it turns into that thing, doesn't it? It's, oh, well, did you have that last time? Oh, we didn't have it last time, but we had it last night. Okay, so that meal's off the list of 5. What about this one? Well, we did have that last time. Okay, so we're down to 3. What about this one? Oh, well, I don't like that part of it anymore. Okay, so we're down to 2 choices. Which of these 2 things do you want for tea? Oh, I want that one. I want that one. They're both different. Pick one. It's that. And for ease and for speed, I will do that. I will do that. But it irks me and it grates on me. And over time, it wears me down. And I then explode and go, I'm going off book. And if you don't like it, well, then I'm sure I'll find out about it. So, in a complete fit of insanity, I decided I'm not going to make one meal that's different. I'm going to make multiple different meals and serve them at the same time. Absolutely nothing's going to go wrong there. Not a single thing's going to go wrong there. Do you know something? One child didn't like one item. And I said, that's fine. Outside of that, they had a whale of a time. I did sneak in some staples, but they were small and did not make up much of the meal. Did those staples become the most eaten item on the table? Absolutely. Of course they were. But we don't dwell on that. So, yeah. I have two friends who I'm like, I reckon I could coax you into being like, hey, why don't you come round and I'll cook for you? Kind of situations. Or even better, how about I come to yours and cook for you? Because, you know, then I don't have to do the dishes. But yeah, I think I need a new food dummy. I'm also including myself in that category. Today was my first day of eating. I managed to go all day. And then I had something to eat this evening, and then I had to have a nap. So, yeah, I don't think I can be included in that. Speaking of, you might have guessed, I had a little week of fasting. And on, where are we? Monday today, weigh day. Yesterday morning, so Sunday morning, I achieved my first weight goal of the year. Managed to, in fact, I can tell you how much I lost in the end. So, problem being is I didn't weigh myself last Monday because it was the day after the Super Bowl and it would be absolutely pointless. So, in 2 weeks, it is a difference of £6 today, which is actually £2 lower than my weight loss, or my current weight loss goal. Having achieved that, I have now set another weight loss goal. That was the whole point, that was the idea, and that is another half a stone lower than that. I have eating day today, which honestly I am freaking regretting. And I have an eating day tomorrow, but I have a plan. And that plan is I am actually in the office, which wouldn't normally be. I'm in the office all day. So, and here's the magic. My plan is to not eat all day. I have a meal planned for tomorrow evening, which I'm going to spend a bit of time and sort of do a bit of this, do a bit of that. And I think that because of the amount of time, effort, and everything else that I'm going to have to put into it, I think that's going to end up being most of the evening, which means that I'll probably end up eating one meal tomorrow. And then Wednesday, back to fasting. Now, what I can say is this. The way my body feels right now, the way I feel right now, I am going to go out on a limb and say I've probably put all of the weight back on in just the meal I've eaten this evening. I'm making it sound worse than it is. I had some bao in the freezer that I've been holding on to for like, I think it's like 2 weeks at this point. I've had 2 sets of fasting since I bought them. So I was like, right, I'm going to eat those as my treat to myself. I had some gozo, the little veggie dumpling things. So I got the steamer rocking. I did all of those. And I had some sushi left over from the meal that I made. So I had some sushi. Not bad. Not bad. But when you've not eaten for 8 days, all of that rice and dough and everything in between. Like I say, I feel like I'm wading through treacle right now. Also, remember, I'm supposed to be drinking this coffee, which I think has got a little bit too much syrup in. Oh, Jesus, it's strong. So, I've got a week of fasting after this. My hope is that over the next couple of days, I can shift any weight that I've put back on to a degree. And then it averages about £2 a day. Hopefully be able to see the new weight loss goal within the next week/2. And that puts me half a stone away from my ultimate goal. So I'm sort of predicting about a month, but I know that it's going to get a lot harder past in these next few weeks. I think it's going to be harder to lose the weight, but we'll see. Then we will move to phase 3 of the plan, which is basically it's going to be a case of eradicating all of the, for want of a better way of putting it, all the binge, and transform that into a bit more of a healthy, in more ways than one, eating habits. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my day. It's hard to explain. This morning I had the opportunity to do something and I didn't. I chose to do something else. So, I don't know if you can tell, I don't know if you can hear, I imagine so. I've got a cold. There are about 4 billion germs in my house at the moment. It's super tiresome. I personally feel like I've done quite well to avoid all of this up to this point, but this cold thing has well and truly got hold of me. I have a nasal spray which does a superb job. You spray a spray of it up each nostril and it clears your nostrils, clears your nose for the day. Basically, use it twice a day and your nose is clear. It'll run, but it's better to give it a little wipe than to be completely bunged up. Simple. This morning, I knew that the best thing for me to do was to go and have a pump of the spray up each nostril and go to work. And instead of doing that, I did a different job and left the house. I got to the office and within about 6 minutes regretted my decision immediately. Now then, I am running out of the spray. So, yesterday, whilst out doing some shopping, I made sure to buy a new one. I got exactly the same thing and it was very expensive. If I'd have known how expensive it was, I might not have put it on the shopping list. Anyway, so fast forward to this morning where I don't have some of this spray. By about 10 o'clock this morning, I am more bunged up than I think I've ever been in my life. I am sitting next to 2 people. One of them who made a couple of comments about how I sounded awful. And what was super interesting and mega gross was when I was drinking from a water bottle, the drinking sound was one thing. I don't even know how to describe it. The blocked nose sound was gross. I'm like, this is not okay for other people. So I made the decision that at lunchtime I was going to have to go out, go to a chemist, buy the same nasal spray I bought yesterday, suck up the cost, and that's my punishment. And I said to her, I was like, this is my punishment for not doing a simple 2-second job. This is my punishment. So away we go, and we get to the chemist, and they don't have it. It's in one of those, this item is out of stock sections. I'm like, you motherfucker. And every other available option, every other one was like, hey, if you thought that one was expensive, hold my beer. But there was a drop, a nasal drop. I was like, well, ultimately, that is just the same thing. It's got the same stuff in it. But it's just a drop rather than the spray. That's the only difference, and it is cheaper. Winner, winner. I took it to the counter, I gave it to the lady, and then she charged me more for it. I was like, yep, that's it. I'm paying my dues here, people. Paying my dues. I went back to the shelf and double-checked the price, and she charged me 30 pence more than it should have been. I'm like, I don't even know how that system works. It was scanned. She scanned it. Anyway, I was like, that is you've got to pay in that situation, both figuratively and financially. You have to pay for the mistakes you make. I said to the guys I was with, I was like, if possible, I'll go and get a coffee. We passed in a coffee place, and I was like, hey, there's almost no queue. It's completely unheard of. It's like kids' holidays. I'm going to go get a coffee. Anybody want anything? No. Right, I'll be 2 minutes. Yesterday, so let's jump back in time. Yesterday, while I was out doing my shopping, I had to go to Argos. Now, as we know, Argos is now part of Sainsbury's. The one I went to, they've moved the Argos from over to one side to at the back of the store, and it had its own little sort of kiosky area with like a queuing system, and it was quite big, and you had all this space, and they've moved it to the back of the store where there is no queuing system, and basically nobody's got a clue what's going on, and that includes the people working there. So, when in doubt, when you don't want to queue, ladies and gents, just start a new queue. And you know what's going to happen. The person that's at the front of the new queue, when there was clearly a queue of people waiting, the person at the front of the new queue is the next person that's going to get served. That is the way it always works. So I'm there like, this woman in front of me, she's not queued. She's just joined up. She thinks she's going to get served. And as it was, she was like, oh, I don't know how this queuing system's working. I've got a number here, but are people waiting to pay for stuff, or are people waiting to pick stuff up? I was like, if you've got a number, I think, you're just on that board there. But like for me, I've got an order to collect, so I have to go to the till thing. While all this is happening, well, there's clearly a queue of people. Some guy turns up. He'd bought a box, had a hole in. So apparently he's now first in the queue, even though there's already a queue. Next thing, we all sort of turn to see that people have just started queuing in a completely different place. And that's right, they're the queue of people that get served first. And we are like, what the fuck? So that was yesterday. I go to get a coffee. There's 2 people in front of me in the queue. That's it. Oh, shit the bed. Both of the people in front of me were from other countries. Different countries. They weren't together. They were from different countries, from different places in the world. They were not easily able to place their coffee orders. I think that was a twofold barrier. One was a language barrier and one was a barrier of a difference. Because when I got there, I struggled to place my order. And I'm pretty sure I spoke the same language as the person who was serving, even if we were maybe not the same species. So, I'm like, I said I'd come in here and get a coffee because I thought this queue wasn't going to take long, but holy shit balls. Then I realise there is no queuing system for drinks. People are everywhere. Next thing, I'm like, well, it doesn't matter where this queuing system is because they'll just call you when your drink's ready. I sort of push through the crowd of people and go and stand over by the wall, out of the way, so that when they call for me for my drink, I can take it and leave, but I'm also not in the way of everyone else. I've never seen anything like it. I was pissing myself. It was one of the funniest experiences I've had, watching all of these people not know how to do anything. A woman came to me, and she said she's got cash in her hand. I mean, I don't know what she thought she was going to do with cash. She's got cash in her hand, and she says to me, "Are you waiting to be served?" There's, at this point in time, about 10 people stood around. And she comes to me, of all people, who stood well and truly out of the way. "Are you waiting to be served?" I said, "No, I'm waiting for a drink." She then proceeds to stand nowhere near the tills and just look and look and look. And I'm like, go to the till. What do you think's going to happen at this point? Somebody's going to magically materialise out of thin air and be like, "Can I take your order?" You've never been in somewhere like this. You look like a lady of a I don't know, particular age, shall we say? I was like, this is baffling to me. That was quickly overtaken by the fact that a family had obviously ordered some drinks, then gone and sat down. So their drinks start coming out. Well, the father, the dad, was like, "Well, I'll go get the drinks." But he can't get through to get the drinks because of all the people in the way. So he's trying to ferry these drinks out and get these drinks out of the way. But the people that are in the way clearly don't understand what's happening. They think he's pushing in, or he's stealing drinks, or he's taking their drink. I'm leaning against the wall, and this is the point where I start sort of kind of chuckling to myself. I'm like, people are fucking weird, man. Then I see a lady, because she walks past me, and she goes off to the till. And and as she's about to start placing her order, another lady appears next to her, literally like she materialised out of thin air. A lady appears next to her and proceeds to start trying to order her drink. And I was like, what the fuck? At which point, the first lady's like, I was waiting to be served. Like I'm literally stood here, waiting to be served, in front of the person who is about to take my order. The second lady proceeds to continue to try and place her order, whilst also trying to reassure the first lady that it's fine. The first lady is like, it actually fucking isn't. I was here first. I was about to place my order. You have appeared out of nowhere. You've barged in and you are now trying to place an order whilst I am clearly speaking to you and telling you this shit isn't going to fly. I'm like, we're about to see a fight. And I've got money on the first lady because she is twice the size of the second lady. They go backwards and forwards. They go backwards and forwards. With this whole, I was here first. It doesn't matter whether you were here first. I just need to place my order because I'm with that lady over there. I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. Now then, while this is going on, foreign lady number one thinks her drink may have been served up. It's possible. Because when they took her name, the guy that took her name clearly couldn't understand what her name was. And I think her name was like 3 letters. So the lady picks up the drink. She's looking at the thing. She's looking at the label. She's looking at what it is. She thinks it could be it. It might be it. Could be it. Then she's disgusted at the name. She can't believe the name they've put on. Oh my God, the name. I am creasing up at this point. You've got the 2 ladies who are about to get into a fist fight at the till. This is still going on, by the way. You've got the first lady who cannot believe the injustice that they've spelt her name wrong. Her 3-lettered name wrong. Now, this is where my issues kick in, because I don't want to be that guy, but she ordered her drink in a takeaway cup and then proceeded to go and sit down at a table and make herself very comfortable. Second foreign lady comes along. She has almost the exact same reaction as first foreign lady. As again, they were not together. They were from different parts of the world. She picks up what could be her cup and is devastated by the name they've put on it. It's the worst. Back to the ladies who are about to kick the living shit out of each other. The person at the till has intervened at this point and has basically gone with, look, she was here first. I will take her drink order and then I'll take yours. It's not rocket science. That situation was diffused. The lady who had been trying to communicate with aliens to get them to either order or make her a cup of coffee seemed to at some point in the process have actually ordered a drink. I have no idea when this happened. I was obviously distracted by the other absolute shit show that was going on. At which point the lady behind the counter was like, your drink's ready. I was like, fantastic, thank you. She was like, have a nice day. I was like, you too. And I walked out cackling to myself. I got outside and I said to the 2 guys, I was like, it is fucking chaos in there. And I loved it. Oh my days, I'll never get it. I feel like we've lost so much as a society. But it's mildly entertaining at the least. No movies. Why is that? What movie did I finish watching? I finished Aquaman. I think there's no movies because I've actually been watching some TV. Yes, I know. I also can't believe it. I've been watching a movie with Leanne, but we haven't watched it for a few days. And it's not one that I would particularly review other than we've been watching some sort of older movies. So I've watched Series 3, Episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Invincible. Excuse me. As I'm sure we're aware at this point in time, I thoroughly enjoyed the first series of Invincible. It was one that I watched and then watched again. It was very much this ticks a lot of my boxes. It's superheroes, it's vulnerable superheroes, it's good guys being bad guys. It was all that with a Run the Jewels soundtrack. It was pure perfection. Series 2 came along and I wasn't as much on board with the second series. I had second series syndrome. So there was that. I've watched episode 1, 2, and 3 of Series 3, and so far, Series 3 is good. Feels very much like it's gone back to that Series 1 vibe. There's a lot of... It's this weird balance of some of these characters are the strongest people on the planet, yet can take a kicking every single episode. Like, something that always strikes me with Invincible is there is zero mention of Mark, the main character, having any kind of healing factor. You would think people with these kind of powers would have to have some sort of healing or faster healing or something. There is absolutely no mention of it, and they get the living shit kicked out of them. And then 2 or 3 episodes go by, or 2 or 3 sections that obviously span a few days go by. Next thing, they're perfectly fine and back to business. So there's that weird balance. There's the whole thing, spoilers, but there's the whole question around whether Invincible will end up being like his dad. And obviously that's a concern, etc., etc. You've got there's like a kid. Reminds me a lot of the Rick and Morty episode where Morty has a child. And ultimately, I think that's sort of the direction it's going to go. You can kind of see what's going to happen. It's probably going to end up being one of those. Again, this is a spoiler, but it's also a prediction. So I suppose I'm spoiling it for myself. But I would go with I imagine the kid will ultimately become the bad guy, and then Mark will have to do something about it, if you know what I mean. I was literally having a conversation with somebody today saying, is Jason Mantzoukas just one of the best in the business? And obviously he does a voice in Invincible. That character seems to be in it quite a bit more. I think that's probably a lot to do with the fact that Jason Mantzoukas has a very strong voice. So having his character in it more means that they can use that voice talent more. I was listening to How Does This Get Made podcast today, which obviously he is on. So 3 episodes in, very strong start. Fingers crossed it will carry on in this vein. I thought there was only 3 episodes available. I thought I'd rattle through sort of an episode and a half this evening. Part of the reason why the podcast recording is later. But I don't know if the episodes come out on a Monday or what, but by the time I was turning it off, there was another episode available. So I might see about getting that. Watched. That was the word I'm looking for. Jesus Christ. Computer games. Bit of a mixed bag this week. I've been playing Cyberpunk a fair bit. Originally, when I played Cyberpunk, I played it through once and enjoyed it. I played it through immediately again, enjoyed it, and I played it through halfway. And I was enjoying it just fine. And then a friend of mine was like, oh, I heard some reviews about Cyberpunk, and somebody was saying that underneath all the bugs and all the problems and all the issues is a boring game. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure about that. I've played it twice and I'm playing it again at the moment and blah, 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 blah. And then I went back to it and I started playing it. I went, oh my God, you're right. This is boring. And that was it. I stopped playing it and I never went back. Like I say, I've been playing a lot of it recently. It's been keeping the Steam Deck very much not charged. It's a battery hog, and I'm not sure if there's a bit of something going on with the Steam Deck. It doesn't seem to charge as much as I'd want it to at the moment. But yes, I've been playing a lot of Cyberpunk at the moment, and that sort of, is this boring? There's a lot of travel here to there, which I remember from playing it previously. I just started fast traveling everywhere. So that took an element out of the game. There's a lot of, let's have a very nice looking cutscene. But you're not really doing a lot when that's happening, and every now and then you have to speak, but I skip all the dialogue. I said to somebody the other day, I was like, if there was an option at the start of a game that said, skip all story, I think I would pick it. I don't care about the story. I don't care about what's going on. I don't care about the characters. I just want the game. And I think that's a time aspect. I think it's a time element. I have started wondering whether I should maybe switch over to just playing the DLC because I've played the game before and because I've played it and finished it a few times. Maybe I should just switch over to the DLC because obviously the DLC's had a lot of praise. It's won awards for being the best DLC, things like that. So yeah, I'm not really sure what's best to do. There is I'm going to hold my hands up on this one. There is a part of me that kind of just wants to leave it and move on to something else. It does lean into the question of what, though. I've had a bit of a VR blip, but I'll cover that in a minute. Finally decided to commit and get Space Marine 2 finished, which I did over the weekend. Absolutely fantastic game. Absolute masterpiece. Beautiful. Plays well. No bugs to write home about. Absolutely gorgeous. The game is an absolute masterpiece. However, I had to ask myself this one question, and that was, do I think I will ever play it again? Because there was a part of me that was like, I honestly think I could trade that in now. And I know they're trying to sort of abolish trade-ins, and I know that trading it in wouldn't really mean anything. Like, I'm not going to trade it against something because I don't need anything at the moment. And I'm not going to trade it for cash because you get less for it. So I'm a bit in this limbo loop of, so what do I do with it? I went to put it on a shelf, but there wasn't really any room, so I just put it back where I picked it up from. And then I'm like, but it was so great. Does that diminish how good it was? If my first response to it is, cool, I finished that, best get rid of it. I just feel weird about it. Because I finished it, I started Star Wars Outlaws, for better or worse. I heard a thing about Star Wars Outlaws that they changed the game almost completely in a lot of ways, and it was cheap. So I asked for it for Christmas and I got it, and it has sat there ever since. So I was like, right, I finished Space Marine, let's get this one. I got it installed, I got it cracking, and wow, it is just bad. I've got to get this out of the way because the thing I want to talk about is just burning at the moment. Star Wars Outlaws has hands down the single worst lockpick mechanic I've ever come across in my entire gaming career. I nearly smashed a PlayStation controller to pieces and then threw it through the screen last night. I have never, in all of my gaming time, come across a system so bad and so, what's the word? I was going to say intricate, integral to the game. Speaking of, I was doing a mission, I went into a room, I completed that part of the mission, and it was like, oh, I need to leave, but they've locked the door. And I couldn't unlock it because of the bullshit lockpick mechanic. I have never come across something so terrible in a game before. It's fucking bullshit. I've done absolutely everything I can to make it as doable as possible, and I still can't fucking do it. I've been watching YouTube videos. The YouTube videos are about as much use as the explanation the game gives you. Oh, just listen for this and do this and press the button like this. It doesn't fucking work. It's garbage. Just give me a fucking skip button. Honestly, ass. Complete and utter ass. Terrible. As for the rest, think the latest Jedi games, Fallen Order and whatever the other piece of shit was, and remove all of the Jedi stuff. There, now you've got Star Wars Outlaws. It looks bad, it plays bad, it's not good. It's Star Wars without being Star Wars. On the other hand, I am still playing it. I have gone back to it, which surprised me. I will say this, I don't think I'm going to get very far with this game, and I honestly think I will get rid of it. It's not good, it doesn't play well, the lockpick mechanic is fucking garbage, and I imagine at some point in time I'm going to get stuck in a room, like I did the other night, and not be able to get out, and that will be the end of that game for me. The stuff in it that is even remotely good isn't anywhere near enough to make the rest of it good. So, oh God, I'm reliably informed it gets better. So, you know. VR wise, I finished Half-Life 2 VR mod. Absolutely fantastic, beautiful in all manner of different ways. Clearly made with love, clearly made with a lot of talent. The game feels like it should have been a VR game from the very start. Obviously, I appreciate, technology and stuff. It just worked so well. So I finish it, and I'm like, okay, now what? And that's where things started to go a little bit wrong, because I felt like it had left a bit of a hole, a bit of a void in my life, where I was like, I don't know what to play next. I started going through my list of VR games, like what I had available, what I didn't have, but like, oh, this, should I look at buying something? No, I'm not allowed to buy anything. Okay. So I had a bit of time off. I had like a day or so off the VR, and that didn't feel right. So I was like, do you know what? I'm going to give something another chance, and see how I get on. So I went back to Into the Radius 2, the early access, whatever you call it. That game is very different these days. It's had a couple of updates that I've not really kept too much track of. The game is definitely harder, and they have actually changed areas of the game, like physical changes to areas of the game. which is interesting. You know, I've not really seen this sort of development of a game before through, you know, not really having the PC side of things as much. So it's interesting to see that. There are times now where you have like enemy encounters that you would have previously, but now they just give you all the enemies in the game, of which there's about 5 or 6 now. So they just send all of them at you, and you're like, oh, okay. But on the flip side, it gives you that real opportunity to sort of like cycle through all of your weapons, use all of your weapons, have to like do a bit more of like a smart reloading system, like, oh, I'll take the clip out of this, but I'll take one off my belt so I don't have to restock that clip and just get back into the firefight kind of thing. Oh, there's a guy coming this way, I'll use this weapon to take him out because he's a bit closer and I need a little less accuracy. But there's a guy over there, so I need like a longer range weapon and blah, 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 blah. So although it's harder and a bit different to how it was, it's also got like a bit more to it, so it's kind of interesting. So I kind of got back into that, which has been kind of cool. I've played it a couple of times. I've been enjoying it. So yeah, that's kind of that. And speaking of that, that is the podcast for this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch you next time. So there you go, watch things that. Another one done, another one gone. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for being here. As I said at the end, thank you very much. Before you leave us, please do consider like, share, subscribe and comment. Leave a review where you can leave a review, and check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we've got social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye. And I'll see you then.
This has been another episode of CookieCast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share and subscribe.